Division by 10, 100, 1000 when decimals are involved. Previously, if we divided a whole number by 10, then all we did was take away a 0. If we divided by 100, we take away 2 zeros, and if we divided by 1000, we took away 3. So let me just give you one or two quick examples of what I mean by that. Let's imagine we started with the number 230 and we divided by 10. Divide by 10, take away a 0, so we end up with the answer of 23. What about 5,100 divided by 100? We're dividing by 100, so we're taking away 2 zeros, and we're left with 51. Now, as you may have seen in a previous video looking at multiplication by 10, 100 and 1000 when we're working with decimals, this doesn't work. And let me show you what happens. Let's look at an example. 5.8 divided by 10. And as we've said elsewhere, some advice would tell you to move your decimal point, and some would tell you to move the number. We're going to move the number because we always like to think of the decimal point as an anchor point. So it's not going to move, the number's going to move around it. And it's dead simple. The number of zeros that you're dividing with, so if you're dividing by 10, you've got 1 0 there, and you move your number one place to the right. So 5.8 divided by 10 becomes 0.58. There's no clever rule about remembering whether to move the number left or right. It's simply this. If you're dividing by 10, your number's going to get smaller. So if it's going to get smaller, you have to move in one particular direction. That's all. Okay, let's try one or two more examples. Let's go for 29.71, and we're going to divide that one by 10. So, we're dividing by 10, there's 1 0 involved. We're going to keep the decimal point exactly where it is, and we're going to move the number one place. So we end up with 2.971. Okay, here's an interesting example. Let's do it over here. So what happens if we have 7 divided by 10? No decimal places, no nothing. Well, in this kind of question, we've got no zeros we can take off, no decimal point to play with. What you have to remember here is that there's an invisible, if you like. Some people like to imagine it's there, but it isn't really there. You just can't see it. It may help you to rewrite 7 as 7.0. Now you see that hasn't changed its value. It just might help you work out your answer. So 7.0 divided by 10. We're dividing by 10, there's 1 0 involved, so we move our number one place, and we end up with 0.70. Now you don't need the 0 there, you don't need this one, but 0.70. There's your answer. Here's an example where we're dividing by 1000. 182.6 divided by 1000. We're dividing by 1000, which is 3 zeros, which means we need to move our number 3 places. So we end up with an answer of 0.1826, like so. Now, of course, this 0 wasn't in our original number, but it's good practice to put it in if you have no more numbers left on the left hand side of your decimal point. It's always a good idea, just to be absolutely clear about what you're talking about, that you put a 0 in. So there are 0 whole numbers, but you have got 0.1826. Now, one more example, and I want you to see if you can pause the video after I've written this and try and work out what's going on with this one. Let's look at 2.15, and we're going to divide that again by 1,000. So have a wee look at this one, pause the video, see how you go on. Okay. Here's where things get a little more interesting. If we divide by 1,000, again, the decimal point wouldn't move. We have to move our number 3 places. Now the problem we've got here is that if we do that, if we moved it 1 place, we'd end up with point and then 215. But we've still got 2 more places to move that number along. All you do, if you run out of digits, if you haven't got any left to place the decimal point in the right place, then just add zeros in. So, if we are having to move our number 3 places, we move it once, and we've already run out of numbers. So we need to add in 2 zeros. Here's what our answer is going to look like. We're going to have 0 at the start, and then another 0 after the decimal point, another 0, and then our 2, our 1, and our 5. So our final answer for this one is 0.00215. So just to be absolutely clear where that's coming from, we started off with our decimal point here. We moved the number and it ended up here. We then had to move it again, so it would have been there, and we had to add in our first 0, and then we had to move it a 3rd place, and so the decimal point would have ended up there, and hence adding in yet another 0. This 0 here is, as in this example, just good practice so that everybody's absolutely clear what you're talking about. We've got no numbers left in front of the decimal point, but we've got plenty afterwards. Thanks for watching.